Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Bhagavad Gita. Today we will be studying chapter 6, text 40, good versus evil, and what is the result, and what is first of all good and what is evil, because it's very loosely used, and what are the results of committing or acting in good, in the good manner, or the consequences of acting in an evil manner. Alright, so we will say our Mangalacharan prayers and we will quickly dive into the topic. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So today's topic is chapter 6 text 40, good versus evil. Now, in the previous session of Bhagavad Gita on Sunday, we have seen the question of Arjuna: what happens if a person surrenders to Krishna, or takes up this Krishna consciousness in a very serious manner, dedicating his life to it, but later he falls away? Then what will be the future of such a person? Because materially he has given up everything in order to join the spiritual way of life, but then in the spiritual way of life he did not make it, he fell away. So now he has no standing anywhere. Is that the case? So that was Arjuna's question. And he also mentioned in the 6.39 that Krishna, only you can answer this, because you know past, present and future of everyone, and you know everything. You are the one who designed everything. So you know best. You are the greatest authority, and therefore you tell us what is the answer to this question. So this is where today's verse is the beginning of Krishna's answer, and he gives a general explanation in this verse. So Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Partha Naiveha Namutra Vinashastasya vidyate nahi kalyana krit kaschid durgatim tat gacchati. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said: Partha, O son of Pritha, na eva, never is it so, iha, in this material world, na, never, amutra, in the next life, vinashaha, destruction, tasya, his, vidyate, exists, na, never, he, certainly, kalyana krit, one who is engaged in auspicious activities, kaschit, anyone, durgatim, to degradation, tata, my friend, gachati, goes, kalyanakrit, means one who does auspicious activities. So what is auspicious activities? We have also seen that in the last session, if you remember. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pritha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. Good versus evil is very very loosely used. We have to do good, then no evil will be there. But what is good? Many of the things that are actually bad are seen as good because of a lack of understanding of what actually good is. So, let's look at the purport and we'll have a better understanding. Purport. त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं चरणाम्बुजं हरेर् भजन्न पक्वोऽथ पतेत् ततो यदि यत्र क्व वा भद्रम् अभूदमुष्य किं को वार्थ आप्तो भजतां स्वधर्मतः. If someone gives up the material prospects and takes complete shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no loss or degradation in any way. On the other hand, a non-devotee may fully engage in his occupational duties and yet not gain anything. So even if a person, if he is not Krishna conscious, even if he does all his materialistic duties perfectly, he actually does not gain anything, because the purpose of doing all these things is to become Krishna conscious. Dharma svanushtita pumsam vishwaksena katha soyah notpadayed yadiratim shrama evahi kevalam. If we don't get attraction for Krishna through our work, then our work is just useless labor. It is meant to provoke attraction for Krishna. So that should be the goal of work for especially human beings. That is called karmasu kaushalam, kushala karma. Kushala karmanam in the Bhagavatam class also we have seen recently. So, for material prospects, wait a second. For material prospects, there are many activities, both scriptural and customary. A transcendentalist is supposed to give up all material activities for the sake of spiritual advancement in life, Krishna consciousness. One may argue that by Krishna consciousness, one may attain the highest perfection if it is completed. But if one does not attain such perfectional stage, then he loses both materially and spiritually. So before we go to that question, let's try to understand this part here. For material prospects, there are many activities, both scriptural and customary. So in this world, we have to do certain things according to social customs or whatever it is. And scripturally also, there are activities which are meant for material benefits. So either way, both of them are material activities. The goal of such activities is material. A transcendentalist is supposed to give up all material activities for the sake of spiritual advancement in life, Krishna consciousness. So one may argue that by Krishna consciousness one may attain the highest perfection if it is completed. But if one does not attain such perfectional stage, then he loses both materially and spiritually. So this may be the argument. Now, it is enjoined in the scriptures that one has to suffer the reaction for not executing prescribed duties. You see? Therefore, one who fails to discharge transcendental activities properly becomes subjected to these reactions. So one certainly becomes subjected to these reactions. The Bhagavatam assures the unsuccessful transcendentalist that there need be no worries. Even though he may be subjected to the reaction of not perfectly executing prescribed duties, he is still not a loser, because auspicious Krishna consciousness is never forgotten, and one so engaged will continue to be so even if he is low born in the next life. So, now here it is not mentioned that nothing will happen to a person who falls away from Krishna consciousness. It is mentioned here that he will certainly undergo the reaction of not properly executing his prescribed duties in Krishna consciousness, and he may even become a low born in the next life. We have examples of Bharat Maharaj being born as an animal even. So these things, and Gajendra also, Indradyumna king, he became a Gajendra elephant. So these things are there. But now here it is said, so although such things happen, still he is not a loser, because he will get a chance. Ordinary elephants are not the same as Gajendra, right? Because Gajendra was an elephant, and ordinary elephants are also there, but they did not pray to Narayana and then Narayan came and delivered him. No. So even in the body of an elephant, he was given the opportunity. You look at this, how, although it is hopeless case, from king he went down to elephant, okay, but still that whatever Krishna consciousness he has done is never lost. So this is the meaning of we will never overcome by evil. Although temporarily we may seemingly overcome by evil. Evil means, now good and evil, or God and Satan, are not like two opposite ends of a spectrum, or opposite parties at war with each other. No, Satan is nothing but Maya that makes us forget Krishna, because we wanted to forget Krishna. So it's under the order of Krishna that Maya actually makes us forget, because we wanted to forget, of course. It's our call. So we chose the wrong thing. So Krishna makes the arrangement for fulfilling our desire to forget Krishna, and then Maya does it. So for a devotee though, even if he falls away, seemingly it looks like he's overpowered, but Krishna will wait for that time when it is right, then he will give him back again that memory which he had before. Okay, so so even if he's still not a loser, because auspicious Krishna consciousness is never forgotten, and one so engaged will continue to be so even if he is low born in the next life. On the other hand, one who simply follows strictly the prescribed duties need not necessarily attain auspicious results if he is lacking in Krishna consciousness. Now, going to heaven may be considered auspicious, and becoming an animal may be inauspicious. But actually, a person who has gone to heaven without being, so Krishna conscious, just by doing these pious activities, just being attached to the rituals, and he goes to heaven, his situation is inauspicious. Whereas, even if a devotee becomes an animal, like Bharat Maharaj or Indradyumna Maharaj, even then or even Nalakuvar and Manigriva, they become trees. Still, of course, theirs was a different case. It was a full mercy of Narad Muni. But you see, these examples are there. So although they became trees, that was a more fortunate situation than being in the heavens for Nalakuvar and Manigriva, where they were enjoying and forgetting Krishna, rather than being as trees, where they are in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj, and they get to witness Krishna's pastimes, and then be personally delivered by Krishna. So it is a much better situation. And even for Pandavas, the so-called turbulent situations that they went through, they were the more blessed situations for them, because there was no way that they could forget Krishna. Always they had to be always they had to be thinking of Krishna to save them from all predicaments. Of course, they did not just ask for saving them from the material predicaments, but just by being Krishna conscious. It's an example, So like that, so you see the difference. it looks like, oh, the materialist is enjoying in heaven, and here is an animal, who was a devotee before but now became an animal. No, this heavenly person, he will so-called enjoy in the heaven and then fall down again to suffer. Whereas this person, maybe 1-2 lives, but after that he will get the chance back again, and then he will go back directly to Krishna. So you see the future. Future. That is very important to understand. So it's not that, oh, nothing happens to devotee, okay, nothing will happen, No, it may happen. It may happen. If it is necessary, if Krishna thinks that it is necessary, it will happen. He will give us some nice punishment so that we learn our lesson. Classic, Bharat Maharaj and Indradyumna, especially Bharat Maharaj. The purport may be understood as follows. Humanity may be divided into 2 sections, namely the regulated and the non-regulated. Those who are engaged simply in bestial sense gratifications without knowledge of their next life or spiritual salvation belong to the non-regulated section. And those who follow the principles of prescribed duties in the scriptures are classified amongst the regulated section. The non-regulated section, both civilized and non-civilized. Now there are tribal people who are also, not regulated according to Vedas, and there are so-called civilized countries, people who are also not regulated by the Vedas. So the non-regulated section, both civilized and non-civilized, educated and non-educated, strong and weak, are full of animal propensities. See, their activities are never auspicious. Now here we find what is actually good, what is bad. So this is bad. Whether they are civilized or not, it's actually secondary matter. How much are they Krishna conscious? How much are they regulating themselves by the rules of the Vedas? If they are not, nothing is auspicious among them. Now it may look like, oh, they are having fun time, they are having nice time. No, this is all a illusion. They cannot have. And even if they seemingly have now, it's only going to be pain, because whatever they are enjoying now is because of their previous life. And whatever they do now will determine the next term of existence. So their activities are never auspicious, because while enjoying the animal propensities of eating, sleeping, defending and mating, they perpetually remain in material existence, which is always miserable. On the other hand, those who are regulated by scriptural injunctions and who thus rise gradually to Krishna consciousness certainly progress in life. So even though one may be a sense gratifier, if he is at least following the Vedic rules and regulations, the regulations according to Vedas, that itself means obedience to Krishna. To follow Vedas means to follow the instructions of Krishna. So even though one may be in tamasic mode of ignorance, tamoguna, even then if he follows the Vedic regulations, he is on the right path. Yeah, he is right in the beginning, but he is there on the path. But those who don't take to this Vedic path, evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartayati hayah aghayurindriya ramo mogham partha sajivati. This is the exact verse. So Bhagavad Gita 3.16. My dear Arjuna, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice thus established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin, living only for the satisfaction of the senses. Such a person lives in vain. So that means only those who are engaged in sacrifices as prescribed in the Vedas. Now, different people may take to different sacrifices. The highest sacrifice, Krishna says, Yajnanam Japa Yajñosmi. To chant the holy name of Krishna or the Sankirtan Yajna is the topmost sacrifice. But those who are not on that stage of directly taking to the devotional service, they may start in other parts, Karmakanda section of the Vedas, but still they are at least on the right path of Vedic regulation. So that's why this is better than completely unregulated life. And nowadays, modern civilization is completely unregulated life. Completely. Actually, this how to say, hierarchy of human beings is mentioned also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now, let us read the purport and then we will go there. On the other hand, those who are regulated by scriptural injunctions and who thus rise gradually to Krishna consciousness certainly progress in life. So this is called auspicious path. Doing good means in this path. Now those who are following the path of auspiciousness can be divided into three sections, namely the followers of the scriptural rules and regulations who are enjoying material prosperity or for enjoying material prosperity. Yeah. So these are the karmis. That is number one. Number two, those who are trying to find ultimate liberation from material existence, jnanis. And three, those who are devotees in Krishna consciousness, bhaktas. Those who are following the rules and regulations of the scriptures for material happiness may be further divided into two classes. Those who are fruitive workers and those who desire no fruit for sense gratification. Those who are after fruitive results for sense gratification may be elevated to a higher standard of life, even to the higher planets, but still, because they are not free from material existence, they are not following the truly auspicious path. Now, although this is considered auspicious in the Vedic lane, at least you are on the Vedic path, but this lane of Karma Yoga, now in the road also there are lanes, right? So, the slow lane, in Singapore, the leftmost lane is the slowest lane. All the heavy vehicles go there. The rightmost lane is the fast lane. In America, it's the other way around. The leftmost lane is the fast lane because they drive on the right side of the road, and then the right side is the slowest lane. So this Karma Yoga lane is very slow. It is not really that auspicious, and we can get distracted in many ways also. It's not truly auspicious path as Srila Prabhupada put it here. The only auspicious activities are those which lead one to liberation. Any activity which is not aimed at ultimate self-realization or liberation from the material bodily concept of life is not at all auspicious. Now, you see, although this is auspicious, even demigods, worshipping them and conducting ritualistic ceremonies for going there, but in the true sense of the term, it is not really auspicious. Activity in Krishna consciousness is the only auspicious activity. So, when we say one who does good is never overcome by evil, Kalyanakrit, the word used in this verse is Kalyanakrit. The persons who are doing auspicious activities is actually only devotees. So, the doing good means not simply helping my family, helping my country a little bit, donating some charity here and there. No, that is not. Krishna conscious, who is Krishna conscious, he is good. Others are all, under the influence of evil or Maya. Activity in Krishna consciousness is the only auspicious activity, and anyone who voluntarily accepts all bodily discomforts for the sake of making progress on the path of Krishna consciousness can be called a perfect transcendentalist under severe austerity. Now, before we proceed further, we look at these similar kind of hierarchy of human beings. It's mentioned here in the CC, Madhya 19.144 onwards. तार मध्ये स्थावर जंगम दुई भेद, जंगमे तिर्यक जल स्थलचर विभेद. The unlimited living entities can be divided into two divisions, those that can move and those that cannot move. Among living entities that can move, there are birds, aquatics and animals. तार मध्ये मनुष्य जाति अति अल्पतर, तार मध्ये म्लेच्छ पुलिंद बौद्ध शबर. Although the living entities known as human beings are very small in quantity, that division may be still further subdivided, for there are many uncultured human beings like mlechas, pulindas, bauddhas and shabaras. These are unregulated, non-regulated section of society, humans. They are basically animals in having two legs. Today, Kali Yuga, Most of the population are in this category. These are outside of the Vedic Varnashram system. Then, you see now here, Vedanishta Madhye. Vedanishta Madhye Ardhek Veda Mukhe Mane. Veda Nishiddha Papa Kore Dharma Nahi Gune. Among human beings, those who are followers of the Vedic principles are considered civilized. These are the regulated people. Now, in unregulated section of society, sometimes they are civilized, sometimes not civilized. According to Vedic civilization, they are actually none of them are civilized. But in ordinary course of activities, we consider them, okay, this is a civilized country, and maybe the people in the forest, they are uncivilized people. But actually, all of them are uncivilized because there is no regulation for progress. Progress means not economic progress. That is not considered progress. It's not given a very high importance. Spiritual progress. When dharma is there, artha will automatically be there. Economic development is a natural consequence. I mean, people were way more richer in those days when people used to actually follow everything. Nanda Maharaj had 900,000 cows. One man. 900,000. Krishna was tending to unlimited number of cows. There's no number. It's billions, trillions are fall short in counting the number of calves that Krishna was tending to when he was playing with his cowherd boyfriends and all that. I mean, the amount of, the wealth means to have land, to have cows. This is wealth, especially of the Vaishyas. And honestly, if you have land and produce, in fact, it's not only for the Vaishyas, but the whole kingdom, the Kshatriyas, the Brahmanas, the Shudras, everybody eat because of the produced by the Vaishyas. Milk products and agriculture. Agriculture and cow protection, these are activities of Vaishya. And then there will be automatically sustenance for everybody. And when everybody is Krishna conscious, everything is opulent. Because wherever Krishna is, the Lakshmi is also there. So Lakshmi's blessings will be there automatically. Dharma, then artha will automatically be there. So anyway, among human beings, those who are followers of the Vedic principles are considered civilized. Among these, almost half simply give lip service while committing all kinds of sinful activities against these principles. Such people do not care for the regulative principles. Now this is actually bad. Although they know, but they're actually just lip service and they commit sinful activities. Actually, they will be suffering more. Honestly, that verse is also there in the 5th canto, 26th chapter. I think verse 3. I think we will go there and come back here. Sanskrit is quite long and it's not a verse; it's like a prose. Now. Just as by executing various pious activities one achieves different positions in heavenly life, by acting impiously one achieves different positions in hellish life. Those who are activated by the material mode of ignorance engage in impious activities, and according to the extent of their ignorance, they are placed in different grades of hellish life. It's the extent of their ignorance. If one acts in the mode of ignorance because of madness, his resulting misery is the least severe. If he is mad, then you can't expect a madman to act like a sane person. So he will still suffer, but his resulting misery is the least severe in hell. One who acts impiously but knows the distinction between pious and impious activities is placed in a hell of intermediate severity. So you see more suffering because he knows, but still he does not. So just now that lip service, those who know the Vedic, followers of Vedic civilization, but just lip service. They know the distinction between pious and impious activities, but they still do impiously, intermediate severity. And for one who acts impiously and ignorantly because of atheism, particularly being against God, the resultant hellish life is the worst. Those who know but they don't follow, just because they cannot control their senses, They will suffer intermediate severity, but those who are especially against God, everything, when God name word comes, they become you know agitated. This is atheism, particularly against God at all. The resultant hellish life is the worst. Because of ignorance, every living entity has been carried by various desires into thousands of different hellish planets since time immemorial. I shall try to describe them as far as possible. So, that's the description of the hellish planets. Now, going back, so such people do not care for the regulative principles, you see. Now, next. You can go and read the purports, they are very nice. Dharmacharya madhye बहुत कर्मनिष्ठ कोटि कर्मनिष्ठ मध्य एक ज्ञानी श्रेष्ठ. Now, even in the followers of Vedic civilization who don't do lip service but actually, act accordingly, dharmacharya, achar, they have achar, dharma achar, not just dharma, vacha, and dharma achar. So, most of them are karmanishtha. They do ritualistic ceremonies for elevation into heavenly planets, like that. Koti karmanishtha madhye, out of millions of such karmanishtha, ek jnani shrestha, those who are jnani, those who want liberation, one in millions. You see, already human life is very, very rare compared to all the species put together, and in that, so many uncivilized, sections of society outside of Varnashram. In Varnashram, many people lip service. Half of them, or more, even more, Kali-yuga even more, mostly. And then those who actually follow, they mostly follow Karmakanda section. And among millions of such Karmakanda, you can find one Jnani, one person who wants liberation. Now, next. Among the followers of Vedic knowledge, Jnanis, most are following the process of fruitive activity and distinguishing between good and bad work. This is, out of many such sincere fruitive actors, there may be one who is actually wise. All these purports are very important. You can go and read. Koti jnani madhye hoy ek jana mukta. Koti mukta madhye durlabha ek Krishna bhakta. That means even the jnani is not mukta yet. Koti jnani madhye hoy ek jana mukta. Koti mukta madhye durlabha ek Krishna bhakta. Out of many millions of such wise men, one may actually become liberated. Wise man means does not want liberation. I mean, not that they have liberation already. They are wanting liberation. But one may actually be liberated. Out of millions, one. And out of millions of such liberated persons, a pure devotee of Lord Krishna is very difficult to find. So, Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Ataeva Shanta Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakhaliya Shanta. So, Krishna Bhakta, he is Nishkam. He has no material desire. Ataeva Shanta, and he is peaceful. Bhukti, Mukti, Siddhi Kami Sakhaliya Shanta. What is that? Because the devotee of Lord Krishna is desireless, he is peaceful. Fruitive workers desire material enjoyment, Jnanis desire liberation, and Yogis desire material opulence. Therefore, they are all lusty and cannot be peaceful. Yogis, they desire material powers, yogic powers. That is opulence, material opulence. So, they are all lusty and cannot be peaceful. Now, you see, gradation is also given here, you see. So, what, demarcations are given in this purport. First, there is regulated and non-regulated. Non-regulated is not auspicious. Regulated is auspicious. But among them, there are fruitive workers, karmis, jnanis and bhaktas. The karmis are not really considered that auspicious. The real auspiciousness is only bhakta. Although others are also there, but there is easy tendency of falling away. Because no shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Even jnanis, not to speak of karmis, even jnanis. So, Any activity which is not aimed at ultimate self realization or liberation from the material bodily concept of life is not at all auspicious. Activity in Krishna consciousness is the only auspicious activity, and anyone who voluntarily accepts all bodily discomforts for the sake of making progress on the path of Krishna consciousness can be called a perfect transcendentalist under severe austerity. And because the Eightfold Yoga system is directed toward the ultimate realization of Krishna consciousness, such practice is also auspicious. You see, Eightfold Yoga system, the Ashtanga Yoga system, is directed towards ultimate realization of Krishna. Such practice is also auspicious, and no one who is trying his best in this matter need fear degradation. So, whether one is Ashtanga Yoga process or one is following Krishna consciousness, even if he is following Karma Kanda, it is feeble auspiciousness, not much. There is a lot of inauspiciousness involved there also. Real auspiciousness is Krishna consciousness. I mean, the least friction path and straight back to Godhead. You don't have to suffer anything anymore. Whereas the Jnana path, oh, kleshodhikatarastesham avyakta asakta chetasam. There's a lot of trouble involved. Because haven't taken shelter of Krishna, so it is very, very difficult. And very fragile. Very fragile. Any time it can break. And they will fall down. And it is bound to happen. As long as they don't take shelter of Krishna, no one can reach the spiritual world. They will fall down. Patanti adhaha. So, good versus evil. Good means what? Krishna consciousness. So that is the thing we have to understand here. Krishna consciousness is Jagan Mangalamam Hasam. Tasmat Sankirtanam Vishnor Jagan Mangalamam Hasam. Mahatam api kauravya vidhyaikantika nishkitam. Shukadeva Goswami continued, my dear king, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is able to uproot even the reactions of the greatest sins. Therefore, the chanting of the Sankirtan movement is the most auspicious activity in the entire universe. Please try to understand this so that others will take it seriously. Okay, Madhya 1.198. Now here, I want to show you this Kuvishaya and Suvishaya. Now, Mora karma mora hate galay bandhya, Kuvishaya vishtha garte diyache felaya. The two brothers Sakar Malik and Dabir Khas have very humbly submitted that due to their abominable activities, they were now bound by the neck and hands and had been thrown into a ditch filled with abominable stool-like objects of material sense enjoyment. So here the word Kuvishaya is mentioned. Kuvishaya. Ku means bad, Su means good. They're opposite. Prefixes. Now purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has explained Kuvishaya Garta as follows. Because of the activities of the senses, we become subjected to many sense gratificatory processes and are thus entangled by the laws of material nature. This entanglement is called Vishaya. When the sense gratificatory processes are executed by pious activity, they are called Suvishaya. The word Su means good and Vishaya means sense objects. When the sense gratificatory activities are performed under sinful actions or sinful conditions, they are called Kuvishaya, bad sense enjoyment. In either case, either Kuvishaya or Suvishaya, these are material activities. So actually there is no auspiciousness. As such, they are compared to stool. Kuvishaya Garta, Garte. Garta means ditch. In other words, such things are to be avoided. So this is actually not auspicious. Even the so-called pious activities, they are actually not pious, they are only sinful activities, less sinful than completely sinful activities, because anything that is not complete surrender to Krishna is actually sinful. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. That is the only auspicious activity, to surrender to Krishna, giving up everything else. But There is some encouragement. Yes, you do pious activities so that they can improve. But actually, comparing to the original standard of what is actually auspicious, even heavenly life to the level of Brahmaloka is also inauspicious. Brahma bhuvanalokan punaravartino Arjuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. You see, even from Brahma Loka down to the Patala, there is all birth and death. So where is auspiciousness? Where is good in that? Where is good? It's all Kuvishaya Suvishaya, like wet stool, dry stool. Now, which is better, wet stool or dry stool? Both are stool, both are bad. So it is just like that. Suvishaya may be like dry stool. Okay, it won't stick. But wet stool or dry stool, stool is stool. If you touch it, you will take bath. So, as such, they are compared to stool. In other words, such things are to be avoided. To become free from Suvishaya and Kuvishaya, one must engage himself in the transcendental loving service of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is mentioned in the 2.50. We will come back here again. We will read. बुद्धि युक्तो जहातिह उभे सुकृत दुष्कृते तस्माद् योगाय युज्यस्व योगः कर्म सुकौशलम. So ubhe means both, and sukrita means pious activities, dushkrita means sinful activities. Now you see, a man engaged in devotional service rids himself of both good and bad reactions even in this life. Therefore strive for yoga, which is the art of all work. This is called naishkarmyam. Naishkarmya means doing karma but no reaction. Or it is also called akarma or naishkarmya. So this is art of all work. No kuvishaya, no suvishaya. Because good activities means sukrita means will give rise to suvishaya. Sinful activities will give rise to kuvishaya. But both are vishaya. That's the point. The activities of devotional service are free from the contamination of material qualities. Therefore, to be free from the reactions of Suvishaya and Kuvishaya, one must take to Krishna consciousness. In that way, one will save himself from contamination. In this connection, Narottam Das Thakur has sung Karmakanda, Jnanakanda, Keval Vishayar Bhanda, Amrita Baliya Jeva Khaye, Nana Joni Sadha Fire, Kadarya Bhakshana Kore, Tar Janma Adhaha Pate Jaye. Suvishaya and Kuvishaya both fall under the category of Karmakanda. There is another kanda, platform of activity called Jnana Kanda or philosophical speculation about the effects of Kuvishaya and Suvishaya with the intention to find out the means of deliverance from material entanglement. So, this is a very interesting definition of Jnana Kanda. So, what is Jnana Kanda? In Jnana Kanda, in Karma Kanda, just okay, I want to go to heaven, I will do this ritual, that ritual, and I will go to heaven. Even in this life, if I want this benefit, I will do this ritual. So, in this way, this is Karma Kanda. But Jnana Kanda means to observe and study the effects of Kuvishaya and Suvishaya. Okay, you do all these yajnas, and what is the benefit after all? You go there and again come back, and so what are we doing? It's rotating. So, to understand this thing philosophically, hey, there's something wrong here. Ultimately, this is not in our favor. So, that's why the endeavor there is to find out a platform where there is no reaction of Kuvishaya or Suvishaya and they want liberation. So, if I do good thing, this good thing, I will get this good result. If I do this bad thing, I will get this bad result. So, liberation means I should not do this, I should not do this. So, neti, not this, not this, not this, not this. What to do, they don't know. So, they don't have positive knowledge. That's why it is said, Jnana Kanda or philosophical speculation about the effects of Kuvishaya and Suvishaya with the intention to find out the means of deliverance from material entanglement. But the means is not just by observing and saying, oh, this is sinful, this is pious, this is sinful, this is pious, this is don't do anything and do nothing. What? But meditation is where? On Suvishaya and Kuvishaya. Analyzing that this is not good, this is not good, this is not good, this is not good. What is good, they don't know. They are not doing that. So that is not Yoga, karma, sukha, palam. That is not auspicious still. It is definitely the step in the right direction, in the sense that I should not be just blindly following this karma kanda like an ass. I should question this thing. What is the real benefit here? But then I should not just question and then come to this negative conclusion or voidist conclusion that ultimately liberation means then doing nothing. Lazy fellow is liberated person. Is that the case? No. So what is the standard of activity where we don't have to face anything, face any reaction, and at the same time we are completely engaged, as is the nature of the soul, which is to be active. On the platform of Jnanakanda, one may give up the objects of Kuvishaya and Suvishaya. Now, with this understanding that this is not good, this is not good, one may give up. But that is not the perfection of life. Perfection is transcendental to both Jnanakanda and Karmakanda. It is on the platform of devotional service. To not do materialistic activities is better than doing material activities. But we cannot sustain just not doing material activities, because we are active and we need activity. And if we don't have an activity, we will fall back to whatever activity we know, which is material activity, in the name of philanthropy, altruism or whatever it is. Now, we have to have positive knowledge of the real standard of activities, healthy activities of the soul. So then, yes, we can be safe on the spiritual platform. Otherwise we'll get a relapse of the material disease. Again, Vishaya. Perfection is transcendental to both Jnanakanda and Karmakanda. It is on the platform of devotional service. If we do not take to devotional service in Krishna consciousness, we have to remain within this material world and endure the repetition of birth and death due to the effects of Jnanakanda and Karmakanda. Therefore, Narottam Das Thakur says, Nana Joni Sada Fire Kadarya Bhakshana Kore. Kadar Bhakshan means eating anything and everything. Tar Janma Adhaha Pate Jai. One travels throughout various species of life and eats all kinds of nonsense. Bhakshan means to eat. Kadarya means anything and everything. Thus he spoils his existence. A man in the material existence and attached to Kuvishaya or Suvishaya is in the same position as that of a worm in stool. So those people who are not devotees are actually like worms in the stool. Whether they are endeavoring for heavenly planets or whether they are doing sinful activities, all are worms in the stool. Regarding this, there is an incident. I think, is this the incident? I don't know. So there is this incident where Raghunath Das Goswami, he was a great devotee, but his father and uncle were very rich, very, very rich, and they were very respectful to Vaishnavas. Very respectful, and they used to provide, prasadam feast for Vaishnavas. They used to feed so much. They were very, very rich. So they used to always nicely serve Vaishnava. But when their son became Vaishnav, wanted to join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, they did not like it. He employed guards, this Raghunath Das' father, to call his son back, take his son back. So finally, when Raghunath Das Goswami escaped, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu jokingly, he said, of course he also meant it, your father is like a worm in the stool. He was serving Vaishnavas and everything, still your father is like a worm in the stool because he is attached to householder life. Of course he said in a joking way, because ultimately I am related to your father, like that, something, wasn't Nilambar Chakravarti in Bengal. So they are related. So there was like a distant relation. I think good friend of his father or something like that. Nilambar Chakravarti and Nilambar Chakravarti. I think I am getting the names wrong maybe. So there is a relation. So in that way he just jokingly said like that. But also if you see philosophically, it is true. Because if we are just attached to this family life and material comforts or material, how to say, some people, they don't like comfort, they like discomfort. They want to go on adventure. and they spoil their human life in unnecessary adventures like that, risk their lives. Some people, they go, traveling, and this, what is this, bungee jumping, or some wingsuit flying, all these adventures, jumping from a helicopter or something like that, plane or something, mountain climbing. There's so many things. So some people, they want discomfort. Some people want to be comfortable. They want to be in the comfort zone. All are nonsense. All are nonsense. All are worms in stool. Because ultimately, they are in this material world. They are not going anywhere. One will argue this way, one will argue this way, but actually they are both looking at the two sides of the same coin. Stool coin. Nowadays in cryptocurrency, there is, what is this, Bitcoin, there is some Dogecoin, there is some this coin, that coin. So in material world, it has stool coin. So both sides of the same coin. Kuvishaya, Suvishaya. Vishaya, coin is Vishaya. The Vishaya coin, which is stool coin. So, after all, whether it be moist or dry, stool is stool. Similarly, material activities may be either pious or impious, but because they are all material, they are compared to stool. Worms cannot get out of stool by their own endeavor. They cannot get out of the stool by their own endeavor. Similarly, and not only they cannot get out of the stool by their own endeavor, you take them out, they will go back there again. They will go back. Not only that is that they are physically trying to come out and they cannot come out. They cannot come out of their own. No. Mentally also they cannot come out from there. Because you take out, they want to go back there. Mentally they are attached to that stool. That's why I said worms cannot get out of stool by their own endeavor, physical or mental endeavor. Similarly, those who are overly attached to material existence cannot get out of materialism and suddenly become Krishna conscious. Because now we are like stool, worm in the stool. We are so attached to the stool of material world. Material attachment, material sense gratification. Attachment is there. As explained by Prahlad Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam. Matirna Krishne paratah svatova mitho bhipadyetad grihavratanam adanta gobhir vishatam tamisram punah punascharvita charvananam. Those who have made up their minds to remain in this material world, they made up their minds. You try to take them out also, they will go back like the worms in the stool. And enjoy sense gratification cannot become Krishna conscious. Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam tayapahrita chetasam vyavasayatmaka buddhir samadhau navidhiyate. They cannot be resolute in their determination to become Krishna conscious. No. Unless they have complete distaste and virakti, disgust for material way of life, there is no means of deliverance. They have to get. That's why Vairagya Vidya Naja Bhakti Yoga. If we understand the beauty of spiritual life, the beauty of Krishna, the beauty of spiritual world, the spiritual activities, then we will see that this material world, we will be disgusted with it. The worm in the stool cannot be disgusted with stool, but we get disgusted with stool. Because we have tasted higher taste. What is stool? Eating stool. What kind of life is this? There are so many nice things to eat. You're going and eating stool. Like pig also is the same. So, because we have a higher taste, we are nowhere attracted to that. Stool. So, it's like that. So, those who have made up their minds to remain in this material world and enjoy sense gratification cannot become Krishna conscious because of their attachment to material activity. They cannot attain liberation either by the instructions of superior persons or by their own endeavor or by passing resolutions in big conferences. Paratah svatova mitho abhipadyeta. Mitha means together. Whether it's conferences or whether it's by the help of others or by their own endeavor. Because their senses are uncontrolled, they gradually descend to the darkest regions of material existence to repeat the same process of birth and death in desirable or undesirable species of life. Actually, everything is undesirable, but they think it is desirable. For them, it is desirable. Now, here it is said, by the instructions of superior person also they cannot come out. Then how come we are trying to come out from this instructions of Srila Prabhupada? Only pure devotee. Yes, other superior persons of this and that, no, it doesn't work. Pure devotee, yes. That is why the next verse is there. No. Next verse. Actually, these three verses are very important: 7, 5, 30, 31, 32. So let's go here. We'll just come back. We have read this. न ते विदुस्वार्थगतिं हि विष्णु दुराशयाये बहिरर्थमानिन अन्धा यथान्धैरुपनीयमानास् तेऽपि शतन्त्र्यां मुरुदां निबद्धाः. Persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life, again, whether Suvishaya or Kuvishaya, and who have therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man attached to external sense objects, cannot understand that the goal of life is to return home back to Godhead and engage in the service of Lord Vishnu. As blind men guided by another blind man miss the right path and fall into a ditch, materially attached men led by another materially attached man are bound by the ropes of fruitive labor, which are made of very strong cords, and they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering the threefold miseries. So how can they come out? They cannot come out by themselves, they cannot come out by superiors' instructions or by conferences, debating or coming to a consensus or conclusion. नैषां मतिस्तावदुरुक्रमाङ्घ्रिं स्पृशत्यनर्थापगमो यदर्थः महीयसां पादरजोऽभिषेकं निष्किञ्चनानां न वृणीत यावत्. This is the only way they can come out. Unless they smear upon their bodies the dust of the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, completely freed from material contamination, persons very much inclined toward materialistic life cannot be attached to the lotus feet of the Lord, who is glorified for his uncommon activities. Only by becoming Krishna conscious and taking shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord in this way can one be freed from material contamination. So when it is said that even by the instructions of superiors one cannot become perfect, it is like this: Nasa vrishiryasya matam na bhinnam. Because a superior philosopher, or they are called rishi or muni, so they may come up with all kinds of philosophies and theories in trying to explain about life, but they themselves are not. Only a pure devotee, yes, he can deliver. He can deliver. So going back. Okay, that's the end of the paper. So, of course, recap, the main point is this, that auspicious, one who does good is never overcome by evil. So what is good? One who traverses the path of transcendence, and especially so in devotional service. Everything else falls short. Yes, by karma kanda, little by little advancement, but it's going to take thousands and millions of lifetimes. Jnana kanda, better, but very far away still, very, very far away. So it is all Kuvishaya. Suvishaya also is there. Suvishaya, Kuvishaya. It's all sinful, Vishaya. But the only auspicious path is Krishna consciousness. So Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Keval Vishayar Bhanda means Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda also Vishaya. Visha means poison. So it is also pots of poison only. It is not a nectar. It is not nectar. So how can poison be auspicious? How can poison be good? So what is that? Kalyanakrit. Today's verse. Nahi kalyana krit kaschit durgatim tat gacchati. So one who is doing kalyana krit, in Tamil kalyana means, even Telugu also, kalyana means marriage. It is auspicious in the sense that the sex urge is being controlled. That's not the main. The real auspicious work is to take initiation from a spiritual master. That is more auspicious than so-called marriage. Marriage is, come on. Marriage as if it's the most auspicious thing. It is good only if it is done to regulate the senses and be Krishna conscious. That is the only good thing out of it. Nothing good out of it otherwise. Anyway, Kalyana Krit Kaschid. Here, Kalyana means devotional service. Auspicious activity means. So, such a person, Durgatim Tata Gacchati. So, the same thing with Krishna, another verse he said. What is that? Kaunteya Pratijanehi Name Bhakta Pranashyati. My devotee will never be destroyed. That doesn't mean he will not die or something like that. His spiritual advancement won't be destroyed. Spiritual advancement. That is what it means. And if for his spiritual advancement, if Krishna thinks that to make him advance spiritually, he's interested, but he's also interested in Maya, he's getting too distracted. So let me take away or let me even kill him. Like in the case of Bharat Maharaj. Next life he will. For a person who has given up entirely his kingdom and beautiful wife and children, everything, and to get attached to a deer. There is no real sinful activity there. It's not that he killed anyone and nothing like that. But you see how much punishment he got. He became from a great devotee to a deer. What was his sin? It was not much of a sin, but attachment. So Krishna is teaching, and of course Krishna gave him the memory of his previous lives. So Kalyana Krit Kaschit Durgatim Tata Gacchati. So seemingly Durgatim, but no. If you see the future in a long span, then you will see that actually Krishna made a very nice arrangement. Because when you get that big of a shock like that, and there's no way that we can not learn a lesson from that. A very, very strong lesson. So he wants to teach a very strong lesson, so that once and for all kinds of attachment will be thrown far away by the devotee. So that for that reason, he will make sometimes situations which are so unbearable, so trying, that the devotee loses all hope for any traces of material enjoyment he may have in his heart. This is extremely painful. I just don't want it. So that is the thing. I just want to be with Krishna. So that is the feeling that he wants to evoke in us. And that's why sometimes the punishment is way too severe, appears to be way too severe. But actually, if you see in the long run, it is not. But of course, the best thing is not to fall down. Of course, we are always falling down every day. So the only way we can actually stay in devotional service is follow the instructions given by spiritual master. So if we ever go beyond that, then we will fall down. And that's what happened with Bharat Maharaj. And that's the valuable lesson we need to learn. I think this was 5 to 14, 5, 12, 14. In a previous verse, it is stated Vina Mahatpada Rajobhishekam 5, 12, 12 actually. One cannot attain perfection without smearing the dust from the lotus feet of an exalted devotee on his head. If one always follows the orders of the spiritual master, there is no question of falling down. Again, if one follows the orders of the spiritual master, there is no question of falling down. As soon as a foolish disciple tries to overtake his spiritual master and becomes ambitious to occupy his post, ISKCON is doing this, he immediately falls down. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado yasya prasadan nagatihi kutopi. If the spiritual master is considered an ordinary man, the disciple surely loses his chance to advance further. Just today morning, one devotee was writing to me that saying that one so-called devotee that she was talking to, she doesn't have much faith in Prabhupada. She evaluates him as if he is like an ordinary person, and then she thinks he also made a lot of mistakes and like that. So if this kind of thought comes, the disciple surely loses his chance to advance further. Despite a very rigid life in devotional service, Bharat Maharaj did not consult a spiritual master when he became overly attached to a deer. Now here, Bharat Maharaj did not want to overtake his spiritual master and occupy his position. Nothing of that sort. But when something happened, he became overly attached to a deer, he did not consult. So even if we don't consult our spiritual master, now you may say, oh, now you Ritviks, you say you must consult. How you can consult Prabhupada? What are you talking about? You need a living guru whom you can consult. What is the use of a living guru if that guru gives nonsense advice if you consult him? Our question is that. Now, if you read Prabhupada's books, you will get the consultation from Srila Prabhupada. He will give. I don't know, but this is my experience. Many devotees who have read, this is their experience. When you read Prabhupada's books, you will get the answer. And of course, there are Shiksha Gurus. That personal guidance, especially Prabhupada left the Shiksha Guru system, the temple system, where, in fact, even during his physical manifest presence, he was not everywhere. He was not accessible to the devotees. Like every time they can want to ask question, they can ask question like that. No, they can't. Sometimes they wrote letters. Letters take how long to go and how long to come back to reply. So many things are there. And he was always traveling, Prabhupada. So it is not that everyone got a personal answer from Prabhupada for everything. He trained the temple authorities and they have to train. And that was the system even when he was personally around. And what to speak of when after he has left. There's nothing lacking in this Ritvik system. It's not that, we don't have a personal guidance of Srila Prabhupada. We have. Those who read, they will feel it. I can say for sure. Personal guidance is there from Srila Prabhupada. Despite a very rigid life in devotional service, Bharat Maharaj did not consult a spiritual master when he became overly attached to a deer. Consequently, he became strongly attached to the deer. And forgetting his spiritual routine, he fell down. But of course, auspiciousness is there, you see. He was not careful in doing his duties. But still, you see how auspicious. Krishna. In next 2 lives, he went back to Godhead. But for the person who has gone to heaven, doing everything nicely, he has to go to heaven, spend thousands of years there, come back to this earth, fall down again, and become, human being, and then if he becomes sinful again, go down and down. Millions of years, there's no release to this person who has so-called achieved heavenly life. And here is a person who became an animal, but he went to Godhead in 2 lives. Which is better? Immediately it may seem, it is a complete imbalance. Krishna has promised, what happened? My devotee will never perish, and then what happened? Non-devotee going to heaven, devotee going to hell. What is this? Bali Maharaj went to hell. So, you have to understand, not only long term, but even short term also. Although he became a deer, externally it may be deer, but internally he was still a great devotee. It's not that he was in the deer consciousness and could not do anything. He was still conscious as a devotee. He regretted whatever he has done, and he was constantly meditating on the Lord, even as a deer. So the consciousness is what matters. So he was brought back to that consciousness again, very quickly. So actually this following verses, that is 641 all the way to 44, 45, they mention this, that actually it talks about next life only. What happens to an unsuccessful yogi in this life? And you may ask, okay, that is for next life, okay, fine, but what about this life? Now, I did not say, for example, oh, you say material education is not good, okay, I just minimum, that's it, and then I went to Krishna consciousness, and then now, grown up, now fell down, or cannot follow, and now I don't have material education to survive, I don't have spiritual education, what will happen to me? Don't worry, Krishna has his ways to take care, there is no harm. And that will in fact, having no security on the material platform is a blessing, because then we have no way other than to return to the spiritual platform where we left, and become humble. And but if we have an option, material option, then we will become comfortable there. Like that we will go in the material world. It will take much longer like that. So if he has nothing, yasyaham anugrahanami harishet dhanam shanai. In fact, that situation is better. That hopeless, helpless situation is better for him, because then he will get easily mercy of the Lord. Then he will befriend the devotees. He will value the association of devotees, and come back quickly. We should always calculate in the spiritual way. Materially, even though he may be downtrodden or whatever, for having left and for having done some offenses, but still it is auspicious. Still it is auspicious. See, this verse is there. स्वपादमूलं भजतः प्रियस्य त्यक्तान्यभावस्य हरिः परेशः विकर्म यच्च उत्पतितं कथञ्चिद् धुनोति सर्वं हृदि सन्निविष्टः. You see, one who has thus given up all other engagements and has taken full shelter at the lotus feet of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is very dear to the Lord. Indeed, if such a surrendered soul accidentally commits some sinful activity, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated within everyone's heart, immediately takes away the reaction to such sin. Another, immediately means, now, in the case of Bharat Maharaj, 2 lives, but that is nothing compared to eternity, right? It is very, very quick. What is that? I'm a swift deliverer from the birth and death. Chapter 12, text 6 and 7. Now, the other verse, whatever, say. Wait. Yeah. Sorry about that. भृत्यस्य पश्यति गुरूनपि नापराधान् सेवां मनागपि कृतां बहुधाभ्युपैति आविष्करोति पिशुनेष्वपि नाभ्यसूयां शीलेन निर्मलमते पुरुषोत्तमोऽयम्. So the Supreme Lord, you see, Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Purushottama, the greatest of all persons, has a pure mind. He is so gentle that even if his servant is implicated in a great offense, he does not take it very seriously. Indeed, if his servant renders some small service, seva managapi, a little bit, bahudha bhyupaiti, the Lord accepts it as being very great. Even if an envious person blasphemes the Lord never manifests anger against him. Such are his great qualities. So this is from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami. Ultimately, he will protect his devotees. So the protection means spiritual protection. Material body, it will go anyway. So, he has become dear. Where is the protection? Protection is the 2 lives he has gone back. So we cannot see sometimes in the short window of time. We cannot see. Hey, how come? That's why there is a nice, I think 3.637. Yeah, 3:16:37. Sorry. Okay, here this purport. What is the? Let's see that Sanskrit also. विश्वस्य स्थितिलयोद्भवहेतुराद्यो योगेश्वरैरपि दुरत्यययोगमायः क्षेमं विधास्यति स नो भगवांस्त्र्यधीशस्तत्रास्मदीयविमृशेन कियानिहार्थः. My dear sons, the Lord is the controller of the three modes of nature and is responsible for the creation, preservation, and dissolution of the universe. His wonderful creative power, Yogamaya, cannot be easily understood. Now, this is important to understand. His wonderful creative power, Yogamaya, cannot be easily understood, even by the masters of yoga. That most ancient person, the personality of Godhead, will alone come to our rescue. What purpose can we serve on his behalf by deliberating on the subject? So instead of analyzing how Krishna is going to help, what is this, what is that, let's see the previous verse, what happened. Because this is, I think Jay and Vijay, all this, although, you see, Hiranyakashipu, the demigods, yes, this is the thing. It is the prowess of these twin asuras that has disturbed you, for it has minimized your power. There is no remedy within my power, however, for it is the Lord himself who desires to do all this. So, demigods are harassed by the, even by the birth of these demons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. So, they were in a, sometimes, why did this happen? Why did this happen? So, here, so sometimes the Lord's plan, Yogamaya, how it works, we do not know. That's what it is said here. See, api duratyaya yogamaya, yogeshwarairapi duratyaya yogamaya. Even they are Yogeshwara, the masters of yoga, they also api duratyaya yogamaya, they cannot. Sthiti laya udbhava. Pralaya. Pralaya means destruction. Laya means also destruction. Pralaya means like prakrishta rupena laya. Udbhava, creation. Sthiti, maintenance. Sthiti layodbhava. So, how his Yogamaya is working, how come it is looking opposite to the materialist, very difficult to understand. But we have to have the faith that the Lord's plan is there. So we have to just no need to worry. That's why it is said here. That most ancient person will alone come to our rescue. What purpose can we serve on his behalf by deliberating on the subject? We just have to do our duty. Whatever happens is the Lord's, wish. So we can't anyway go against his wish, right? So a devotee, whatever the Lord wills, Ashlishava Padaratam Pinashtumam Adarshanan Marmahatam Karotuva. So Ashlishava means to embrace. Padaratam Pinashtuma, if I have fallen at his feet, if he embraces me, that is very good. But Pinashtuma means if he tramples me, that is also okay. Because he is the Lord. Who am I to dictate to him? Oh, he cannot trample me. Well, means I am calling the shots, is it? Where is the surrender then? Surrender means whatever you want to do, you do. I don't want to protest. Adarshanan marmahatam karotuva. Adarshanan means not even come before me. It is up to him. Whatever he wants, he can do. What is that? Marmahatam karotuva. Yatha tatha va vidadhatu lampato mat prana nathastu sa eva napara. Yatha tatha. Whatever he wants, he can do. After all, he is a lampat. Of course, this is very high ecstatic word. Lampat means actually debauchee. It means he has connection with many women. So Krishna also seemingly has connection with many women, like an immoral boy in this material world. But of course, that is spiritual. It is not in any way contaminated. But the feeling of ecstasy. So ultimately, he can do, in one way it is said debauchee, like he goes to many women, but also transcendently, if you look at it, yes, he is the super soul of everyone, so he is always with everyone. He's not only devoted to one person, right? Yes, we are praying to him, and he's sometimes responding, giving us some answers through, he gave us first of all the spiritual master. He's helping us. So it's a personal connection. But it's not that he's only with us. So actually it's a truth. Everyone the Lord is there as Paramatma, and with everyone he is communicating. As much as they can understand, they are capable or they are qualified to communicate with Krishna. So he is not bound to one woman or one person. No. In that way he may be called Lampata, a transcendental Lampata. Debauchee. So he can do whatever he wants. He is the master of everyone. Mat prana nathastu sa eva na aparaha. Na aparaha means nothing else but my prana nath, the Lord of my life. So whatever he does, let him do. So we cannot understand his plan. You see, Yogamaya cannot be easily understood. I think, what is that Prabhu used to show recently? Nobody can understand the plan of the Lord. Bhishma Dev. Okay, we'll go there first. We will finish this part. You see here, when something is arranged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one should not be disturbed by it, even if it appears to be a reverse according to one's calculations. For example, sometimes we see that a powerful preacher is killed, or sometimes he is put into difficulty, just as Haridas Thakur was. He was a great devotee who came into this material world to execute the will of the Lord by preaching the Lord's glories. But Haridas was punished at the hands of the Qazi by being beaten in 22 marketplaces. Now, this is what sin Haridas Thakur has done. When one holy name can, vanquish all the sins, future and past, that we can ever commit even. He is chanting 192 rounds a day, 300,000 holy names a day, unprecedented. What sin he has done that he had to be beaten like that? What sin Jesus had done to be crucified? No, nothing. But they sacrificed. This is how the material world is there. There is no gratitude. Similarly, Lord Jesus Christ, but there is a plan. There is a plan in everything. Even when Haridas Thakur was done like that, or Jesus Christ, there is a plan. We should always know that Krishna has a plan. Why is this happening? Similarly, Lord Jesus Christ was crucified, and Prahlad Maharaj also was put through so many tribulations. The Pandavas, who were direct friends of Krishna, lost their kingdom. Their wife was insulted, and they had to undergo many severe tribulations. Seeing all these reverses affect devotees, one should not be disturbed. One should simply understand that in these matters there must be some plan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Bhagavatam's conclusion is that a devotee is never disturbed by such reverses. He accepts even reverse conditions as the grace of the Lord. One who continues to serve the Lord even in reverse conditions is assured that he will go back to Godhead, back to the Vaikuntha planets. So it's not that, he's not affected, okay, whatever happens, I'll just coolly chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. No. It's not that, completely just, he will use that as a springboard for spiritual advancement. For example, if something, suppose I meet with an accident. Now, if I survive, then I should think that, Krishna is trying to teach me something here. It's not that, accident happened, never mind, Hare Krishna. Not like that. Humility has to come. Krishna has done this, yes, for a purpose. There is a plan of the Lord. But at least I can take this much, that there is some lesson to be learned here. Krishna is trying to teach me something by this reversal. What is that? I have been too complacent in my devotional service. Krishna is teaching me now. I'm too much enjoying my body. Now my body is battered. An accident. So now I should understand that this body will be battered ultimately. So there's no point, me overly attached to this body and trying to give it comforts and enjoying this body. So in this way, we have to realize and come closer to Krishna. in this Atapyamana Hridaya Vashitam Namami. We have to be, if we are repentant, we should not be disturbed like, why Krishna did this to me, how can he do this, what is this, I'm a devotee chanting so long, what is it? But it is not that he is some completely hit by a car and then Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Of course that's good, but he should also reflect. Krishna does these things for a reason. For Haridas Thakur, it is nothing to do with his problems. He's, the Lord is teaching how tolerant a devotee is and how other devotees should see Haridas Thakur, how tolerant he was. He's teaching us lessons. So that's another thing. But this is how. And actually, those who are really Krishna conscious, they will continue to chant actually. I am not saying that, you get accident, you cannot chant. You should chant actually. But also reflection should be there. There should be. So when there are incidents like that, then they will actually make us question. When everything is going good, we think we are great devotees. No, Krishna will listen to whatever I say. That's why everything is happening like this. Now when it doesn't happen, actually Krishna, I think, sorry. That is the thing that Krishna wants. Karpanya, humility. One who continues to serve the Lord even in reverse conditions is assured that he will go back to Godhead, back to Vaikuntha planet. Lord Brahma assured the demigods that there was no use in talking about how the disturbing situation of darkness was taking place, since the actual fact was that it was ordered by the Supreme Lord. Now, similarly, we have this pandemic situation and Kali Yuga as a whole. Everything is very disturbing, but we should understand that this is the plan of the Lord. Kali Yuga is there, but also it is the plan of the Lord to deliver. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, so we will serve that plan of the Lord, the auspicious plan of the Lord. The other plan is to come punish them, but Krishna is very kind. He wants to take us back. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to take us back. So we should not be too disturbed. How come he's happening like this? How come lockdown? How come this one? How come that one? It is going to be like this. Kali Yuga is going to go worse and worse. It's not going to be better. You cannot expect without God consciousness that everything goes all right. No way, zero. Don't even dream. Expect it to go even far worse. Be thankful that it has gone. It did not go as much worse than what it is actually now already. By the kind of curbs, by the travel curbs and this and that, so many things. Politically, everything is in a very so much tension going on everywhere. So it's going to just get worse. Just be prepared. That's it. But at the same time, spread this holy name. This preaching should go on. Save them. The only hope for this humanity is not their United Nations conferences, nothing, G7 summit, nothing will work. Only Krishna consciousness movement will work. And so we have to just push on. That's it. And then Krishna will open the doors for us to preach more and more. So Brahma knew this because he was a great devotee. It was possible for him to understand the plan of the Lord. So I think I would stop there. Any questions or comments we will take, and then we will end this session. Oh, this thing is all the way there. My name. I did not notice that. Okay. Brajeshwari Mataji, Prabhuji, but we have brought up in such a samskar that just do the punya karya or suvishaya. Why didn't our elders never educate on vikarma? How can they educate if they don't know? And what suvishaya? Come on, what suvishaya? Let's be very honest. It's not really the full this thing also. Full suvishaya also. So many things we did which are not even correct. Those things also there. Because no knowledge. Why didn't means our karma is like that as well. We are born in such families, such time, such place, such circumstance. That's it. So anyway, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we have come to know what it is, what is what. And now we have to make remedies by taking to Krishna consciousness. 1916. Yes, this is the one. 1916 or 17. Yeah, I wanted to show this. Yeah. न ह्यस्य कर्हिचिद् राजन् पुमान् वेद विधित्सितं यद् विजिज्ञासया युक्ता मुह्यन्ति कवयोऽपि हि. O king, no one can know the plan of the Lord Sri Krishna. Even though great philosophers inquire exhaustively, they are bewildered. No one can know his plan. Tasmadidam Daivatantram Vyavasya Bharatarshapha Tasyanu Vihito Natha Nathapahi Prajaha Prabho. O best among the descendants of Bharata, Yudhishthira, I maintain therefore that all this is within the plan of the Lord. What is within the plan of the Lord? The extreme sufferings that Pandavas went through. He is mentioning that. He is referring to that. If you see in 1912, that is what he mentioned there. So that is all. That all this is within the plan of the Lord. See? Exactly how a devotee should think. Accepting the inconceivable plan of the Lord, you must follow it. You are now the appointed administrative head, and my Lord, you should take care of those subjects who are now rendered helpless. So, we just have to carry out our duties, not worrying too much about, how, what, when, how, why. Just get on with our business of Krishna consciousness. Just tolerate the situation. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukha daha. This material world will, sometimes summer, sometimes winter. So, sometimes favorable, sometimes unfavorable. Doesn't matter. Just keep on pushing. That's it. All right. Anything else we have? Okay. No questions so far. Okay, Yana Mataji. Dhiradas. When parents are restricting our devotional activities like chanting and waking up early, then what should we do? Because now we're dependent, so what should be done? They cannot tie you up. They cannot close your eyes by force. Just tolerate. See, they will nag at you, but you keep on doing, and you don't bother listening to them, and just do it. What they can do? After some time, they get tired of shouting at you. Just accept, okay, this guy will wake up early. That's it. We just have to be adamant. We have to be adamant. Whatever you do, if I'm waking up early, what is the problem? Huh? You just mind your business now. Instead of you waking up early, teaching me how to wake up early, you are scolding me for waking up early. What are you talking? Huh? Mind your business. Why? When I am doing something, did I disturb you? No, right? Why you have to get disturbed? Then mind your business. I will mind my business. Okay, that's it. Sometimes tell it off. If you still don't listen and you still shout, just go and do it. Who can stop you? As if they can stop you. They'll create a ruckus sometimes. Yeah, that is also there. I have seen that also in some houses. But you just continue. Nobody can stop you thinking about Krishna, chanting the Hare Krishna or the songs of the Mangalarati. Nobody. Just keep on doing. That's it. That's the only answer. These are all tests, Maya's tests. Divya. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Prabhupada. How do we both humble and confident at the same time? When we are confident, there is a chance to be attacked by Maya. When there is humility, sometimes the viewers to whom we preach will think of us with pity and don't listen carefully to what is being preached. Humility, confident in Krishna, but humble ourselves. We have to be humble. Confidence means, now because I am talking what Krishna has said, I am never wrong. That is the confidence we should have. But for that, we have to exactly quote Krishna and pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. So when we talk like that, when we quote scriptures, we can be absolutely confident. You say whatever you want, I am right. Okay? There's no way I'm wrong here. Because I'm repeating Krishna's, I am rascal, yes, I accept. But I'm repeating Krishna's word, therefore I am not wrong. And because your words don't coincide with scriptural words, you are wrong. That's it. That's the confidence. So confidence in Krishna. But ourselves, we have to understand that I am a nobody here. But I am confident because this is Krishna is right. I am not confident because I am right. No. If I am confident that I am right, then I can be wrong. The strength is Krishna. I hope that is clear. Anything else? I think that's it. So we will stop it here. Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Oh, Omkar Tawari. Prabhu, how to pray to Lord to give suffering? It is very hard. No, we don't ask the Lord for suffering. We ask the Lord to be engaged in His service. If you are engaged in His service, then suffering doesn't matter. We don't ask the Lord for suffering. We ask the Lord to help us, give intelligence so that we can serve Him. That's it. And if suffering is the way that He is going to carve that path, and so be it. And if it's going to be comfortable, so be it. We are not enjoyers, we are not renouncers, we are just servants. We are not bhogis, we are not tyagis, we are bhaktas, we are sevis. Sevi means one has to serve. Kunti Devi prayed, Dhiradasa Das, 1:825. She said, yes, give us all suffering. Vipada Santuta Saswat. So, she is concerned with Krishna. She is concerned with Krishna. She is seeing that, hey, now all the sufferings are finished and you are going back, you are leaving us. Now then give us all the suffering. Because then we can see you. Because if you are going to be here because we are suffering, then we want you. So if our suffering is what is going to keep you here, we want to suffer. So she's not actually wanting suffering per se. She's wanting Krishna and service of Krishna. So if suffering is the path to that, let it be so. Similarly, gopis, when they were asked the foot dust, please take. No, you're going to hell. It's okay. Krishna should be served favorably. Anukulyana Krishnanushilanam Bhaktiruttama. Krishna must be served favorably. That's it. What happens to us is immaterial. That should be the attitude. That is full surrender. So, in that context, she prayed like that. And Kunti Devi, she must be at least 110 years old, minimum, at that time when she was praying like this. Minimum, that is 110 to 120, somewhere around there. Now, she has gone through everything in life. Even at that age, she said, again and again, please give me. I don't mind all that. But I really am, it pains me, that it hurts me that you are going away. That is what matters to Krishna. Devotee. Thank you, Prabhuji. It's clear. Okay, the good. Vrinda Gupta Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada. Can you please explain Jnanis and Bhakta? I thought we explained in this class already. There are so many classes also about this. You read Prabhupada's books, I think you should be easily. Jnanis are those who are. We have already actually explained in this class earlier. I already said that. The Jnanis, they will analyze. Karmis, they will just, try to do either Suvishaya or Kuvishaya. Some want to enjoy this material world with sinful activities. Some want to enjoy with pious activities. But Jnani, he will see that both Suvishaya and Kuvishaya are the same coin. Vishaya coin, this coin of stool. So it's not very valuable, this coin. So I will not invest in this cryptocurrency. It's very cryptic actually. Maya is very cryptic. It confuses us. What is it? That's why it's called Maya. Maya means what? Illusionist. So I don't want to invest in this cryptocurrency of Suvishaya and Kuvishaya. So they analyze. So Jnanis, they analyze. Oh, this is not good. Sinful activity is not good. We suffer. Pious activity is also not good because we go to heavenly planets and come back and suffer again. So it's just a delayed suffering. What is this point? What is the point of doing this? So Jnanis, they observe these things and then get detachment slowly, and they wish to get liberated. That's Jnanis. But the thing is, they are concerned about their own liberation again. So that is called Muktikami. Jnanis doesn't work only speculate. Yeah, they are sannyasis usually. They become sannyasis and they don't work for the bhiksham dehi everywhere, and then they live like that, and then they try to speculate. Mayavadis are like that. They study Vedanta and everything. But Bhakta, he is really a person who is really renounced, because he does not enjoy anything, but he also knows that this is meant for Krishna's enjoyment. So let me engage this in Krishna's service. So he is properly engaged, and all his activities don't have any karma, don't have any reaction in this world. That's why it's called Naishkarmya. So Bhakta, what is that? कोटि ज्ञान मध्य एक दुर्लभ एक कृष्ण भक्त, very very rare. So we are in the association of devotees. It is very very rare opportunity we have. So we should not let it go and just take it cheaply. Oh, this devotee said like that. This devotee said, come on. How rare opportunity we are in. Trillions and gazillions of souls have no access to this. We have. And then we, embroil ourselves with trivial matters and, fight, and this is not good. So that's why we have to, from these descriptions we can understand how rare it is to be in the association of devotees. Of course there are classes of devotees, but at least everybody is trying. Now, some may be able to control their senses to a certain extent, some may not be. But at least they have taken to the path, so they are on the auspicious path at least, and that's why sadhureva samantavya. Apichet suduracharo bhajate maam ananya bhag. Sadhureva samantavya. He is to be considered sadhu. So devotees, we have to be very tolerant. Of course, we cannot tolerate the offense to spiritual master. These kind of things, chastise also should be there. But the thing is, if he's especially envious, that's another thing. We're talking about those who are trivial matters. These things arise because we don't understand the value of devotees. Okay, I'm uncomfortable in the association of devotees because of something. But what is the other option? To be comfortable in the midst of materialists? Of course, I'm talking about devotees who are wanting to follow, or at least in the path, somehow or other. If they are under the guidance of proper devotees, even if they are not proper, if they are under the guidance of proper devotees. See, we are all. It's not that we come to Krishna consciousness, everybody is perfect. Right? If you are perfect, why are we in the material world? You are not perfect. A hospital is a place where people will be cured. That does not mean you go to the hospital, all healthy people will be there. In fact, hospital is full of sick people only. Only sick people will go there. So, of course, everybody is sick, but they don't know they are sick. They are mad. But those who know they are sick, they come here. So here we cannot expect that everybody is pure devotee. Oh, we are seeing Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj, and Narad Muni. How come all devotees don't match any qualities like this? They are fighting whatever, and they are not so advanced. Everybody is just on the path. Just as I am also on the path. Everybody is on the path, right? How can you today start chanting and tomorrow you are Uttam Adhikari? What is this nonsense? So we have to be tolerant and let everybody grow, and especially be strict with ourselves and lenient with others. In that way we can advance. Alright, I think I'll stop here. भगवद गीता की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद, हरि हरि बोल, हरे कृष्ण.